So you're thinking about a move to Tucson. That is fantastic. And by the way, we'd love to have you. But you have questions. What's the good stuff? What's the bad stuff? What's ugly? So in today's video, we're going to do a deep dive and look at the pros. We're going to look at the cons. And you know what? I'm not going to hold anything back. So let's get after it right now. Hey everybody, what is happening? My name is Paul Dunn. I'm a local realtor with eXp Realty right here in fabulous Tucson, Arizona. And if, by the way, this is your first time landing on our channel, make sure and hit that subscribe button, because if you want to know everything there is to know about living in Tucson, working in Tucson, chilling in Tucson, playing in Tucson, or whatever, anything Tucson, then again, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell so that you're notified too. And every time we pop a new video, you'll be among the first to know. And by the way, we pop a video at least once a week. And by the way, Darcy and I get calls every single day from people just like you who are thinking about relocating or moving here to Tucson, Arizona, and we absolutely love it. So we love the chance to be able to talk to you, point you in the right direction, and help you out, be your boots on the ground. Just give us a call, send us a text, send us a direct message, a smoke signal, carrier pigeon, I don't care. Just reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to help you, because we've got your back when it comes to moving to Tucson, Arizona. So let's go ahead and get real, because I absolutely love living in Tucson, Arizona, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of things that people love about living here, and there's some things that people really don't care too much about living for here in Tucson, Arizona. So in today's video, we're gonna deep dive, and I'm gonna give you 5 great pros about living in Tucson and 5 cons about living in Tucson. So let's go ahead and dig into it right now. So pro number 1 is the location. Man, we've got a great location here. We're only 70 miles from the Mexican border, which means that Darcy and I can pack the car on a whim and decide that we want to go to Mexico, leave the house at 6 a.m. and be chilling on the beach with a margarita by 10:30. Man, how cool is that? But if going to the Mexican Riviera isn't your thing, you can also pile in the car and head on out to San Diego and be chilling on the beach there in about 6 hours. So you've got just a few hours drive either way and you're on the beach. Now, if the beach is not your thing and you want to go see the flashy lights of Vegas, 6.5 hours, man, and you are there. But let's say that you just want to go to Disneyland with the kids, 7 hours and you're at line at the Mad Hatter. So man, you've got access to go to pretty much any place that you could want to go. Now, if skiing's your thing, we actually have 2 fantastic ski resorts here in Arizona. And something else that's really cool about our location is that we are surrounded by 5 different mountain ranges. Now, to the east, you're going to see the Rincon Mountains, which are awesome because the sunrises coming over those mountains are just truly amazing. And then when it's time for a cocktail in the evening and you're sitting on the back porch, you're watching the sunset over Sombrero Peak in the Tucson Mountains. Absolutely fantastic. And guess what? There's a ton of hiking, there's a ton of camping, and there's a ton of bike trails in those mountains that are suitable for a lot of different skill levels. So let's get into con number 1. And for me personally, that's allergies. Man, when the springtime rolls around and the weather starts getting a little warmer and the wind starts blowing, because it does get a little breezy down here, you're gonna see the mesquite trees bloom, you're gonna see the palo verde trees bloom, and man, those things get some nasty yellow pollen blowing all over everything. Man, it's all over your freshly washed truck. It's all over everything, man. And what happens is that pollen hits me like a ton of bricks. Man, I look like Rocky after a bad fist fight. Yo, Adrian, I did it! But rumor has it that local grown honey can tame or eliminate the allergies from these things. Now, I've never tried it, so I don't know if it's true, but give it a shot. But what's interesting about these allergies is they don't affect everyone. Man, I get hit hard, my kids get hit hard, but my wife, she doesn't get it at all. And pro number 2 is the economy. You see, things are starting to go pretty well down here, and companies are starting to notice. Take, for instance, Caterpillar. Caterpillar, a couple of years ago, was trying to decide if they were going to relocate to Denver or move their business down here. And so we happen to win because we've got a lot of great things going down here, and they've been rebuilding downtown Tucson and making it more friendly for other businesses to come and relocate here. Now, what has happened since Caterpillar has come to town is Hexagon Mining has moved their world headquarters here to Tucson as well. And in fact, they were going to move to Denver as well, but saw Caterpillar select Tucson over Denver and relocated down here. And as far as other companies, Amazon has a fulfillment center down here that they just added not too long ago too, and that's brought in a ton of new jobs. Those companies, as well as others that are in process of moving down here, are expected to bring a lot of high-paying jobs with them. And so what's going on in downtown is they're building a lot of very expensive apartments. They're going to be going from $3,000 to $4,000 a month for some of those professionals. And now we're starting to see a lot of hotels come to downtown as well. In fact, in downtown, they're building a Home 2 Suites by Hampton Inn, which is going to be really cool. And then there's a wine-centric hotel that's being built. It should be open mid-summer from what I understand. And that is going to be called the Citizen Hotel and Wine Tasting Room. So I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And another one that just got built was the DoubleTree. In fact, they attached that to the convention center because so much is starting to happen down here in Tucson. So if you're gonna be coming down here for a convention and it's gonna be at the convention center, chances are you'll be staying at the DoubleTree. Now overall here in Tucson, personal income is up about 2.2% with the job growth here at 3.2%. Now, with all these new companies coming in, that is expected to rise even further. And so when people are moving here, they're realizing really how expensive it is to live here. In fact, the cost of living is only 91.6% of that of the rest of the country. So, man, I think our economy is on the rise down here. Now, con number 2 is that Tucson is considered a historically low-wage city. And Tucson's a little interesting because we get a lot of population influx during the fall and winter months where people are coming to visit from colder states, maybe living in a second home down here. And so because of that population growth, we see a sudden surge in job opportunities at hourly wage type places, say spas or resorts or restaurants. And so that, I'm sure, has an impact on what the hourly wages are down here. But according to payscale.com, the current mid-2021 salary or hourly rate here in Tucson is $17.19 an hour. And the average annual salary is coming in at $64,000. Now, something else that's interesting to keep in mind here is that with all those new employers like Caterpillar and Hexagon coming to town, we're anticipating seeing more higher paying jobs, and thus that's why they're building those extremely expensive apartments downtown. Now let's talk about pro number 3, and that's the to-do list. Now, believe it or not, Tucson has an awful lot of stuff to do. I mean, it's a great town. I've already told you earlier, I love this place. It's a lot of fun to live down here. But we are a college town, right? We've got the University of Arizona, and so that right there gives us a lot of really cool stuff. You've got Wildcat football, you've got Wildcat basketball, you've got Wildcat baseball, and those always draw a huge crowd. But something happens when you're a college town. You end up having a really cool downtown scene, right? So we've got a bunch of really cool, unique type of bars in the downtown area. A lot of really cool little cafes and such too. So you're not going to have a lack of evening entertainment or places to eat downtown. Now, as you get off the main drag of Congress and you end up over on 4th Street, 4th Street is kind of a different world in and of its own. It's very artsy. It's very cool. It's kind of like the old place. If you enjoy boutique type stores that are really niche or local style, you're gonna love this. If you like really personal, localized type restaurants, man, you're gonna love being down on 4th Street. And oh, here's something interesting. I just thought of this. Is that down off of 4th Street, not actually on, I think it's, I don't know, it's just off of 4th Street, is this place called the Buffet, right? And it's not actually a buffet, it's a bar. It's the oldest bar, I'm told, in the state of Arizona. So if you're into that kind of vibe, you gotta go check it out. So now that we just talked about the college scene and the bar scenes downtown and 4th Ave, let's talk about the food scene, man. We've got some fantastic food down here. Our influences are Mexican, Spanish colonial, and then Old West. And you just imagine all that muscled up together and you're gonna get some really cool stuff. In fact, one of my favorite restaurants in downtown is a Mexican seafood place called El Barraca. You gotta go check it out. It's built to resemble a submarine, and they've got the whole story painted in a mural on the wall in that place. So you gotta go check that one out. So I don't know if you know this, but in 2015, Tucson won the International Gastrology Award. And apparently that's supposed to be something really cool having to do with the diversity of the food in your town. And guess what? Tucson is the only, and I repeat that, the only city in the United States to have won that award. So the other thing that's starting to emerge a lot is breweries. We're starting to see a lot of really cool breweries down here, from Barrio downtown to Badlands downtown. I mean, they've got some really cool outdoor stuff these two places do, all the way up to Catalina Brewing and Button Brewing up in the northwest part of town. So no matter where you are, you're gonna have something really cool to go experiment and have fun with. So let's say that you wanna go enjoy the outdoors. Well, you already know that we've got lots of hiking, we've got lots of biking, you can go up the mountains and do some fishing, but if you're on the extreme side of things, we've got skydiving just up in Marana. And I tell you what, there's always somebody jumping out of a plane up there. And if you like spelunking, that is jumping into caves, or not jumping, but crawling around in caves, if you go south of town, we've got two really cool caverns down there. Now, we don't have professional sports here anymore, but we do have the Sugar Skulls football team, which plays indoor football. But let's say that you're the type that doesn't want to go watch a sport, you want to participate. Well, then there's all sorts of softball leagues, baseball leagues, and even, guess what, kickball leagues for adults. And one of the things that people do know about Tucson is that we just have some amazing golf. And man, it's some of the best in the world at some of the best prices that you'll ever see out there. So if you're a golfer, you're gonna wanna come down here to Tucson, maybe go try out Dove Mountain or the Omni or something, and just really enjoy what we have to offer as far as golf goes. And here's something I bet you didn't know. We have this thing called rodeo. And while other cities may have rodeos, ours is a little bit different. In fact, it is a major event in Tucson, and what happens is everything closes down. The schools close down and they get like a little extra mini spring break for a while, and some people might go on vacation down to Mexico. We might go on vacation to San Diego, but we've got the rodeo, and if you want to stick around for the rodeo, it's really, really cool. And con number 3 is the fact that we're a resort destination, right? So people are coming here during the winter and fall months, or actually it's fall and winter months, right? To come hang out in the nice 75-degree weather. And what happens is that makes our population feel like it quadruples or triples or whatever, but it's a lot bigger. And so you're gonna see a lot more traffic during those times of year. Getting into restaurants is going to be a lot busier and trickier that time of year. And you'll know when the snowbirds are in town when you see a bunch of folks wearing their Hawaiian shirts and driving 25 and a 45. It's just the way it happens, right? But it's not all bad to have that seasonal type of visitor here in town, because they bring a ton of money to our local economy, which was one of our pros. So even though this is a con, it's really not that bad of a con. And that brings me to pro number 4, and that's the people. I mean, I think of all the places that I've lived, the people of Tucson are some of the coolest, most laid back, friendliest people that I've ever met. And one of the things that I'm starting to see down here, or that I've actually noticed quite a bit, is that there's a lot of community involvement, whether you're up in Marana, Oro Valley, Cat Foothills, Tucson, Central, Eastside, whatever. There's an awful lot of community involvement, support for the local communities. People get involved with the schools, which is really, really cool. And I think you're just gonna love it. One of the things about Tucson that I really love as far as the people goes is that we actually, although we're kind of a big town, or a good-sized town, a good-sized city, we carry that small town vibe. I mean, it's really cool. Now let's talk about con number 4, and that is the roads. And man, this is a big one with me because I am in real estate. Part of what we do is drive, and man, do we drive a lot. And so the roads are a big deal. So the way that Tucson is built is it's built basically around the Rincon mountain range. So if you can imagine, the north and northwest part of town, Oro Valley and Marana, is around one side, and then you've got to go around the mountain over down to central Tucson and over to the east side to get to Catalina foothills. There's no direct freeway. There's not a big tunnel or anything. So it's a big chore to go from Oro Valley to Catalina foothills, if you know what I mean. So that's one thing that is kind of a con. The other thing is that it's a little difficult to get freeway access from some parts of town. So if you're in Cat Foothills or somewhere on the east side, you may have to drive 10 miles on a 2-lane road that has about 1,400 stoplights to get to the freeway. So it's not a lot of easy freeway access. And the further out you get from town, you're gonna realize, hey man, there's no streetlights. What's this all about? And so the way that Tucson is that we're one of the stargazing capitals of the world. In fact, we've got Kitt Peak right here in Tucson, which is one of the most famous observatories in the world, which I should have put that in the list on the pro list of things to do, because it's really a cool place. So anyway, because of all this, because of all the stargazing, we have local ordinances that require that streetlights cannot be over a certain illumination and that they cannot be over a certain height, and that we don't get them on the outskirts of town. So it's always pretty dark around here, and you've got a great view of the stars, which is kind of a pro itself. So maybe, I don't know. So anyway, because there's no street lights, the further out you get from town, not only are a lot of the roads dirt, but you can't see them because it's so dark. And pro number 5 is the weather. And man, that's one of the reasons we moved down here to Tucson, is the weather. So I got to tell you, when we lived up in Seattle, we went through a period where it felt like we hadn't seen the sun in like, I don't know, 14 years. And so we came down here and visited my parents, who were living up in Saddlebrook at the time. And I believe this was February 2006. So imagine February in Seattle. It was rainy, it was cloudy, it was dusky. It just wasn't a fun place to be, right? And when we come down here and visited Tucson, what we saw was the weather was 75. There weren't any clouds in the sky. We didn't know what that was all about. All of a sudden, this happens and you end up smiling all the time. The cactus had flowers on them. It was great. We just absolutely loved it. So we went back to Seattle, put that for sale sign in the front yard, and we're living in Tucson 90 days later. It just happened that fast, and we're not looking back. But man, one of the beautiful things about our weather here is our nice mild winters. So it's not going to get real cold. I mean, overnight, maybe December, January, we might see some freezing, but it's not going to be really cold. Like, I mean, it's not going to be like 16 degrees. We might see 30, maybe 28 or something like that. And there might be a few days, in fact, I think once every 5 years, where we will actually see some snow. And so that's kind of fun, right? And it's really cool to go out and take a couple pictures of the cactus when they have snow on them, and put those on Facebook or Instagram or something. That's a lot of fun. And what's funny is that after you've been here for a while and you go through one of the winters, you're going to realize that that's the only time of year that you're actually going to be wearing jeans. And guess what? When it hits 55, maybe 60 degrees, you're going to get the ski park out, because you are absolutely freezing. And another thing about the weather here in Tucson is we don't get natural disasters. We don't get earthquakes. We don't get tornadoes. We don't get hurricanes. So the closest thing we get to anything is called a monsoon. And man, the monsoon is cool, because during the summertime, it might be 100 degrees out. The monsoon hits, it's like the buckets of water from heaven, and it might cool it down to 75 in a matter of just a few minutes. It is so cool. And they typically don't last very long, maybe 15, 20 minutes or so. And then they'll go away for a little bit, and then they'll come back. And usually they happen during the Little League All-Star season or just after. So we're talking maybe the end of June, going into August, we might see some monsoon rains. And it's pretty cool. I mean, everybody gets excited about the monsoon down here. And that brings me to my final con, which is the same as the final pro, the weather. And you know what? Sometimes it can be freaking brutal down here. We're talking hotter than hot. And what you're going to find out when you get to Tucson is that June, July, August, you're going to have a few days, or maybe more than a few days, that are up over 100, right? It's not going to be unusual to see 105, maybe 110, but keep in mind, we are about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than what you're going to get up in Phoenix. But, and this is a big but, they always say the heat down here is a dry heat. And that's a big plus, because I remember when we lived up in Seattle, if it hit 80 or just even over 80, with all that humidity up there, it was beating us up. I mean, we were just dripping and soaking wet. But what you're gonna find out is that because of the dry heat, you're not gonna feel like you're sweating a whole bunch, and you're gonna be carrying around a bottle of water all the time. And the craziest thing is it might be 100 degrees out, 105 in the middle of the afternoon in July, right? Where the same people are gonna be in the pool or maybe inside where it's air conditioned, where the heat's not gonna bother you at all. But every once in a while, you're gonna see some crazy guy out there jogging or running or whatever, and it's 105 degrees out, but they're still doing their running. I'm going, what? And if you really need to escape the heat, it's not going to be that bad. You can pack up the car, drive a couple miles up to Mount Lemmon, and it's going to be maybe 75, 80 up there. You're going to cool down quite a bit. Or you can pack up the rig, go out to the Mogollon Rim, up to the White Mountains, and you're going to see it's substantially cooler up in some of those places. So you've got a lot of places that you can escape to escape the heat. And again, keep in mind, Phoenix is about 15 degrees hotter during the summer, but we cool down in the evening time. So it's not going to be so hot down here in the evenings. It's still going to be in maybe the 70s or 75 or so. But up in Phoenix, in the evening times, middle of the night, it's still freaking 90 degrees. So holy cow, what's that all about? Now, Darcy and I get calls every single day from people just like you who are thinking about relocating or moving to Tucson area or any of the surrounding areas like Marana, Oro Valley, or Cat Foothills. So if you're thinking about doing that, moving here to Tucson, then give us a call, send us a smoke signal or a carrier pigeon or a text message or whatever. I don't care how you get a hold of us, just reach out to us because we would love to help you out. We'd love to be your boots on the ground here in Tucson. And if you're moving to Tucson, we got your back.